Hey guys, ho ho ho! Who wouldn't know? 8-Byte Brian knows. It's time for the Christmas cast for December. So let's go through it. I got a lot to cover this month, from a Nintendo theme park opening to the debut launch of the Super Mario Run app to Rogue One and news from all around the pop culture scene. Let's get started. Alright, so first let's talk about the Super Mario Run app. Well, the Super Mario Run app, as you guys may have already heard of, is the first officially licensed Nintendo product to ever be released to the iTunes Store and hopefully soon on the Android Store. Now, what is the Super Mario Run app, as many of you may not know? Well, it's kind of like playing Super Mario World or the new Super Mario Wii and Wii U, but just in like a Flappy Bird kind of context. You're constantly running and you tap the screen to jump and avoid obstacles, jump on Goombas over pipes, and collect coins. It's actually pretty cool. I haven't played it myself, but I've seen other people playing it just because I don't have an iPhone, so I'm waiting for it to come out on Google Play like everybody else, and it really looks good. It's about as close as you're ever going to get to an officially licensed Mario game coming out for any third-party device. The sales have been pretty good so far, and it's really exceeded a lot of Nintendo's expectations that they had going forward. You can pay $9.99 to download more levels, and it gives you about 5 to 6 levels that you can play right out the gate. And when you pay that $9.99, then you get a whole lot more levels that are unlocked and different challenges. You can also compete against your friends or random opponents in a time run to see who can make it to the end of the level first. I think it's a really cool idea, and I can't wait for this to come to the Android phone so other people can play it. The graphics are really polished. The gameplay is really good. I mean, it's, Mitomo, unfortunately, that kind of bombed, even though that was, really one of the first officially licensed Nintendo products. So it's good to see Nintendo finally letting their walls down a little bit and, realizing, hey, this is a new era, we need to cash in on this, and we need to, make something that people are going to enjoy and people want to play Mario. So it seems to be doing, really well, and I can't wait to see this come out on Android, and it looks really fun. I'm excited to play it, and I can't wait. Alright, moving right along, let's talk about theme parks. Can you believe it? Have you ever wanted to go to a theme park and just say, man, I wish there were some Nintendo-themed rides here? Well, coming in the near future, that may very well be a reality. Universal Studios wants to come up with a theme park within their already existing theme park that's totally dedicated to Nintendo. How cool would that be? You could drive real Mario Karts. I hope that they do something with that system, or I hope they actually have the common sense to put in a Mario Kart racetrack. If they don't, I mean, what are you thinking? But where maybe you can shoot like a foam turtle shell at your other drivers, have the colored carts, and maybe there's like a sensor on there that like slows it down. Maybe have like a course where you can play through like the original 1-1 Mario World where you jump over like foam pipes and stuff, and you can like hit a block and see how long it would take you like in the real world, if you were Mario, to get through that level. See how challenging that really is for a person to do instead of just your thumbs. You could do different Kirby rides, maybe like an air ride or something where you ride in a plane, or maybe like a Metroid themed VR shooter or something. The ideas are limitless. It's so cool. And I'm sure they'd come up with some type of like Smash Brothers like fighting arena, like in a ball pit or something like that. So I think this is a really awesome idea. I've actually thought of it a lot of times before in the past and thought, how come nobody ever came up with the idea, at least for Mario Kart go-karts? That just seems like a no-brainer. That idea alone, will sell itself. But I guess nobody did it because nobody wanted to get sued. So there's no official date yet as to when Universal Studios plans on beginning construction or production, so I would guess probably 2018, 19, hopefully no later than 2020, and, that it can open up and we can all go to Florida and experience the real version of Nintendo Land. Alright, so now on some other pretty cool gaming news. Capcom has finally decided to start doing something again. other than making little BS apps and pachinko machines or whatever the hell they've been doing the past couple of years. They're actually resurrecting some long forgotten franchises. Now, this means titles like, could we see a return of Mega Man? You know, Marvel vs. Capcom is the first one that's actually confirmed. So, we should be seeing that in a couple of years. And, everybody loved playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So it'll be really cool to see this brought back to life. But there's so many franchises that have just laid dead and forgotten about. How many years has it been since there's been an official, Mega Man title? And Mighty Number 5, that came out. Oh my god, just what a ridiculous, attempt at any type of Mega Man game that was. So, it'll be really cool to see if, they can bring back a lot of their old franchises and, finally make some sequels again. I think people are starting to realize there's a real strong retro community that want to play these games again. And there's also a younger community that sees all of these games and they're, playing them either, on like a PlayStation 4 where they're downloading them, the Nintendo Wii shop, or wherever they're getting from. And they're playing them just because they're interested. They're like, oh, hey, we played, like Heavy Rain or, the new God of War series or, Ico and the Colossus or what have you. I mean, I'm mentioning older titles, but, you get what I'm saying, like Watch Dogs or something like that. And so a lot of people are used to these really mature, heavy games like Call of Duty, or it's like, oh, everything's so grimy and so serious. Oh my god, it's so serious all the time. And then they're like, like what are these little games from back then? There's a lot of people who are in this generation now, they remember GameCube and 64. So even by like really retro standards, like those games were still kind of advanced. I mean, they were still pretty silly, like Spyro and stuff, but nothing, as really retro as like playing like, original Mario, original Zelda, Bomberman, like stuff where your objective is just very simple, just like, blow up walls, jump, stab little enemies, move blocks around in Tetris. So, that whole thing is catching on, and I think that's really cool. So, I hope that maybe companies like Konami, would also, follow suit. Maybe, get a new Contra or something like that. I mean, I know that a lot of companies are saying like, hey, would you want to see, an app? And Capcom, I think they did their survey like a year ago, and like, oh, do you want to see UN Squadron or Mega Man come out? And I think it was Capcom, might have been Konami. Sorry if I'm getting them confused here, guys. But they wanted to see where people were, and hey, could we get another Resident Evil installment? And I don't mean, like 6 or 7, but I mean a real Resident Evil, like going back to its roots to where like it's scary as hell, going and, in the houses, not just where, like where you played like Resident Evil 6, which was good, but it's like, oh, just hit the triangle at this time, hit this at this time. Like, that to me didn't feel like Resident Evil. It was just, anybody could have played that. Anybody could have beaten it. There's no challenge. There's no scare. You're just, like, waiting and like, oh, that was scary. Is this cutscene over yet? Oh, another cutscene. Like, it's stupid. There's no sense of exploration. So I'd like to see a true Resident Evil, come back, or maybe pick up the Devil May Cry franchise again, so very exciting. I can't wait to see the new Marvel vs. Capcom come out. I hope they're not going to do what Xbox did with the Killer Instinct series, where you have to buy all of your characters in order to make it playable, because I've heard right now that with Marvel vs. Capcom, there's a lot of characters that aren't even going to be in it. I hope that they're going to change that soon, but I've heard that Iron Man, in his original form, with the with like the ion cannon or whatever, like he's not even going to be in it. Like, are you insane? Like, that's like the character of Marvel vs. Capcom. That's why anybody plays it. Really, I mean, everybody plays it to be Iron Man. So, I really can't wait to see where this goes. I hope it's going to go in a good direction, and it'll be fun to see what happens when it comes out. Can't wait. All right, now what would Christmas be if you didn't have some Christmas cranks, right? So, unfortunately, again, I got to talk about the NES Classic Edition. Now, last month I talked about it, and really talked about the good talking points about it, where everybody seems to be bashing it. Why is the cord so small? And nobody's really looking into the future with it. I brought up to where I think with its charger, it has a 250 gig or megabyte chip on it, where you're going to see a patch and an update where they're going to add probably 20 to 30 more games on it. I liked how the cord was short. The only problem I really did have with it that it wasn't Bluetooth. So I think that it gives people the original gaming feel of the NES, of where you had to be near your console. That was the point of hitting the reset button and the power button. They were trying to bring back that feel, just like Miyamoto always tried to do with his games, whether it's Zelda, with exploring, whether it's Mario, whatever, really trying to recreate that experience. And I don't think enough people got that. They wanted even adults and kids to really feel what it was like again, to sit right up in front of your Nintendo and play Nintendo games. And that's kind of cool. I, for one, didn't really bitch about the cable. I mean, if you want to, have wireless connectivity, just hook up your, Wii Plus remote and, sit across the room and bam, then you've got your, you got your wireless, just hook up the little hub in the front of the console. But that aside, that is, the good news for the Classic Edition. What's the bad news? Well, as everybody knows, you can't get a hold of one. These things are like trying to find the Holy Grail. And that's because with the retro scene nowadays, everybody's like, oh man, I got to get everything new in box. I've got to sell it immediately. So people were lined up at Toys R Us's, GameStop, even in my work, and we just sell like the new Sega, what is it, the AT-AT version of the new Sega Genesis, Mortal Kombat 1 and Combat 2, the latest Atari Flashback 7. So we don't really sell too much in the way of like video game stuff, but we have that. And people were calling up, oh, do you have the NES Classic Edition? You have the NES Classic Edition? And there doesn't seem to be any restraint on like parts of companies, to where like they're limiting quantities to people. They're just like, oh yeah, do you want to get all 7? Sure, buy all 7. Like, you're enabling people to scalp these, and then they're going online, for like $300, $400, $500, $600 for something that only costs $60. Like, that's insane. Like, these assholes are preying on people who just are like, oh, cool, I want to play Nintendo. I don't want to go running around, I don't have time to go find all these games and find a system and see if it works and blow in cartridges and use rubbing alcohol. I just want to play friggin' Nintendo games, and I don't want to download ROMs because I don't want to get in trouble for that, or that's shady or whatever. So they just want that. And, like, there's so many people that cannot do that because of assholes that are just scalping it. So, I mean, to any of you guys that are watching out there, if you're scalpers, you're scum fucks. Sorry. I mean, it's not about profiteering. It's about reselling it, but reselling it at a reasonable rate that somebody can afford. If you're putting it out there for like $400, you're just an asshole, and you're just hurting, the whole retro gaming scene. I really have nothing more to say about it, than that. I do think it's dumb that Nintendo didn't release more of these out to the market, and I also think they should have released the Famicom out to the North American market. And they only released like I don't remember, but I mean like maybe 150,000 units like in America, which is ridiculous. I mean, that's nothing, because they're so afraid. Oh, we don't want to invest in anything and then it not sell, and then we're in the hole. And then if people didn't like that, then they're surely not going to buy the Switch because the Wii U sales tank. Like, take a chance. Like, they would have killed it. Didn't they learn anything from Amiibos? Like, people wanted Amiibos and they weren't around, and it took them forever to finally ramp up production and get it out into the customer's hands. So, that's a big problem that enabled the scalping to begin with. So, if you guys are out there and you're looking at getting an NES Classic and, you're just getting into the gaming scene, or, you just don't have room anymore, you want to sell your collection, wait, there's going to be more that are going to be put in stores soon and on shelves. Do not give in to these jerk-offs on eBay or Amazon or whatever. Let them sit on their stack of NES Classics and go sell them at a flea market for 50 bucks a pop, or in a year from now when they've crashed in price and they're like 20 bucks, like the old Atari Flashback 3 or 4, you know, let them be salty that they wasted 500 bucks thinking that they were going to screw people by flipping them for $300 to $400 a piece. So wait, don't give in. Wait for them to come back in stores and get them at the regular 60 to 70-ish price that they're going for. That's my advice as far as that, as far as that's concerned. All right, and another cool topic. There's been a Kickstarter that's been released for old Sega Genesis games being released as TV shows and movies. How cool is that? I recently heard about this, and I personally, for one, think it's a good idea. I hear a lot of people constantly bashing Sega, and like, Sega, you suck, you didn't make it, Nintendo's still around. I think, Nintendo's the only one that's around, so, they succeeded, everybody else failed, nobody gives a crap about Sega, the Dreamcast failed, the Saturn failed, Atari failed, ha ha ha, it's just Nintendo left, it's just Xbox, it's just PS4, and Sonic sucks, and you're a hack, and there were no good games for the Sega. So I hate that. I hate that the Genesis always just gets the, or Sega in general just gets the reputation of like, that's the sports console, with like all the Contra knockoff games and the Mario knockoff games. And yeah, there were some games that were really weird or crappy, on the Genesis, but it's a good system, and Sega's a good company, so games like Altered Beast, Streets of Rage, these are titles that are being talked about. It'd be cool to see other titles too, I think, like Golden Axe, maybe Shinobi, like that'd be a cool series, to come out as like a movie, or even like a cartoon show. That'd be really cool. And you know what? Yeah, maybe it's corny. Maybe people don't get it anymore, like with the cartoons from the 80s and 90s. But it's fun. I'm glad somebody has their creative juices flowing and say, hey, why don't we do something that nobody ever did? Like, aside from the Sonic cartoon show, but like, do it again. They're realizing this retro stuff is fun. It's coming back. It's cool. I'm totally behind people getting behind this. Do an Altered Beast movie, do a cartoon, do whatever you want with it. It sounds fun. It's going to be awesome, I think, because, what are the standards that you're holding it up to? The Wizard, the Super Mario Brothers movie, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show? Last time I checked, they all sucked. They were all fucking horrible. Yeah, The Wizard's a cult classic, but it's an hour and a half long, commercial. Super Mario Brothers Super Show, yeah, it's goofy, it's silly, but it's still pretty retarded. And then you have the Super Mario Brothers movie. Holy shit, what a piece of crap that was. The only thing that ever really went anywhere as far as video game movies and stuff like that, it'd be Mortal Kombat. That was the only one that was really halfway decent. Street Fighter, the movie? I guess. You won't have your eyes fall out of your sockets if you watch it. It's bad, but it's watchable. So, lay off. Why the hate for Sega? I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't get the division within gamers. Like, oh my god, how do you like Atari? Oh, they suck. What do you like this for? What do you like that for? Well, why the hell do you care? Atari were some of the original, most fun games that ever came out. Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Q*bert, Galaxian and Galaga and all that. Sega had its own classics in its right, and so did Nintendo. Just because Nintendo was the most financially successful, that does not mean it's the most fun or the best, and that it's like, well, if you're a gamer, you should fuck off unless you play anything but Nintendo. If you play something other than Nintendo, then just go die, somewhere. And it's ridiculous. It's stupid. So I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea. I don't care if the shows or movies are going to be good. I don't care if they're going to suck. I think they're going to be fun either way. Because you know what? We all love retro cartoons, we all love retro movies, and half of them are garbage and poorly directed and poorly edited, so you really can't do much worse than you've already done before, unless you come out with another movie like Gem or the Super Mario Brothers movie. So for the love of God, don't do anything like that. But aside from that, what do you got to lose? I say go for it. Alright, now let's talk about Pewdiepie for a second. As you guys might have already heard, Pewdiepie recently said that he was going to delete his channel once he hit 50 million subscribers. Think about that number for a second. 50 million! I barely have over 200, and I've only been doing this for a couple of years, and I just do it because it's fun. If I ever break 1,000, that'll be monumental for me. But 50 million, PewDiePie is the biggest YouTuber pretty much to ever exist. And that's awesome. That's great that he had such a successful run, you know, with doing his comedy and doing his Let's Plays and stuff. That's great. But I don't think it's cool when you're just kind of, like, messing with people to, like, get your subscriber count up, get your view count up. Like, oh, I'm so tired of YouTube. Once I hit 50 million, you know, I'm over. I'm over. You know, I can't take it anymore. I have infinity subscribers, and I'm deleting it. And he ended up deleting a secondary channel. Which is whatever. I mean, that's cool. I mean, nobody's forcing you to do anything. It's your channel at the end of the day. Do whatever you want with it. I don't think that's the issue. I think it's the issue that, you know, you're just using your name of PewDiePie to make yourself even more famous. And there's so many YouTubers that don't have that luxury. There's so many of us that are content creators that put out, you know, awesome stuff week after week. And we'll never get noticed because the algorithms are broken. Nobody ever sees half the videos, you know, that come out because it's like, well, are you already famous? Okay, well, then you're going to pop up in this little list of what people should watch. Oh, you're not? Well, nobody will watch your videos. Oh, well, why do people watch your videos? Because of watch time. Well, how do you get watch time? Because people find your videos. Well, how do people find your videos? Because of how high they rank in watch time. So it's a broken cyclical cycle to where if you don't invest money into stuff like AdWords or stuff like that and get yourself out there with ads, like, no one is ever going to notice your channel unless you're just doing something absolutely radical, like totally way off the radar, you know, like just, I don't know, something that nobody else is doing, you know, like you're, you know, taking a backflip off of a roof or something, you know, like that'll get attention, like really crazy extreme stuff like that. But for just your normal average content creator, it's hard. And so, you know, I think people, you know, like Markiplier and PewDiePie and stuff like that, the higher that you are with your view count and your subscribers, you kind of have a duty, you know, to where you're the face of YouTube. You're the faces of YouTube. And I think it's a real big slap in the face, you know, whether it's like the Fine Bros or something like that, when you really start twisting the dials and the knobs of YouTube to your advantage. Because it just kind of is an insult to the rest of the YouTube community that, hey, we can manipulate and do whatever we want with YouTube to our advantage, and, well, what are you going to do about it? We fucking run YouTube, yo. And that seems to be how it is. So, hey, you know what? I love PewDiePie, got nothing against this channel, but I don't know. I just think that that's a cheap way to inflate your subscriber count. You know, but I guess at the long run, do whatever you think works, and if it works, I guess keep on doing it. Alright, and now finally, let's talk Rogue One. Now, last weekend I went and saw Rogue One, and it was amazing. So I'm going to say it right off the bat. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! You have officially been warned. If you watch past this point, and I ruin Rogue One for you, it is not my fault. You've been warned. So Rogue One starts out where you have a bunch of people that are living on this little planet. I'm not sure if it was Coruscant or Tatooine. I'm sorry, I forgot. I've only seen it once. It's been a week. But you have you have Jyn Erso, who's the main female protagonist in the movie, and then her father. I can't remember his name, but obviously it's something Urso. He's the main engineer that comes up with the idea for making the Death Star. You know, he comes up with the idea of like using the kyber crystals of all the fallen Jedi, you know, and assembling in a way where you can use their energy to create this massive planet-destroying device. And you know, you see it to where they test it out on you know, this one city on a planet, and it blows up like half the city, and like, you know, people start taking notice, like rebels start taking notice. Like there's this one um, TIE fighter pilot, you know, that escapes, and he has like documents of like, you know, the of like the Death Star and plans saying the Death Star is getting built, and he escapes to like Tatooine and tries to tell God, I don't remember the guy's name, but he's like the big burly dude with like the robot feet, and like they kidnap him and they don't believe him, and like they put him in this crazy monster that reads his mind to see if he's telling the truth or not, and then he loses his mind, and you know it turns out that he's telling the truth, and then you know, so you see Jyn, her parents get, you know, taken away, you know, by the by director Krennic. You know, he's the new evil guy for Rogue One, because Rogue One happens after after Revenge of the Sith, and then before A New Hope. So it really fills in a nice chunk of missing plot that you never saw before. Um, and it was great. It was absolutely great. You had like this one guy in there, like Donnie Yen, who I'm sure you guys have all seen. He's force sensitive. He's blind, and he senses Jin's kyber crystal and tells her to come here. And like he can fight like totally blind, sensing the force. Although a lot of people say he can't really use the force, but he's definitely force sensitive. I mean, from like 100 feet away, he knew she was wearing a kyber crystal. Like, I don't care how advanced your senses are from being blind, there's no way in hell you're gonna know, oh, you have a necklace, and I'm like 3 blocks down the road. I can sense your necklace because I've, like, your super hearing picked up the necklace? No. The dude is able to use the force. I mean, maybe just barely. But yeah, he definitely has a connection with it. Like, there's no way he's able to do the things that he's able to do in the movie just out of luck because you're a blind guy with enhanced senses. Um, and so you see this band of rebels get built up, and you see them, you know, as they're trying to get these plans and trying to let people know about, like, the Death Star, and, you know, trying to get to the Death Star to get the plans and rescue them. And it's just great. I know this is kind of a half-assed spoiler review of the movie, but I don't remember everything from it, but it was just great. You got so invested in these characters, and the writing was so awesome, so phenomenal. Like, you cared about them. It wasn't bullshit plot writing like you saw on The Force Awakens. You know, there was really good character development. Like, you know, right from the beginning, when you see Jyn and you see her ripped away from her family, and you see the other guy come take her and protect her, like, that's immediately, you build a connection. You care about that character, instead of like in The Force Awakens, like with Poe Dameron, and you know, he's like cracking jokes to Kylo Ren, and you're like, okay, who's this asshole? But you know, you immediately empathize with Jyn, and you see like, man, look at her struggle. Like, she's hiding, they're shooting at her. Is she gonna live? Is she gonna die? Are they gonna capture her? Are her parents gonna die? That's real conflict and real drama, and that's what The Force Awakens was missing. There were a lot of big scenes that weren't in the movie, though, like you see in the trailers. You know, like, what will you become if they find you? What will they become if they capture you? And like with the one scene where she says she rebels and stuff like that. Um, you know, so that was kind of disappointing. But overall, the movie's absolutely great. They showed Vader in the bacta tank, you know, and they took him out. And kind of a bummer, though, the guy with the caped cloak, who's just some type of slave to, like, the Sith. I was like, man, that sucks. Like, what's the deal with the cloak, then? Why get so ridiculous with the cloak if you don't have, like, Sith powers or Force powers or anything? You're just, like, a butler. You know, he could have just been dressed in, like, regular clothes, like any other, like a military officer on like a Star Destroyer. So I kind of thought that was weak. I thought they should have like definitely had him as like at least like an acolyte, something to do with like the Force. Like that just made sense. Otherwise, why is it so important for him to relay the message to Vader? Like you've never seen anything like that before, so it doesn't make sense. So that means he's not important. So if he's not important, then just have anyone relay the message. If there's no reason for him to be in like a Jedi Sith cloak, if he doesn't have any of the powers attributed to that, like the Emperor's Royal Guard. They have no powers like that, so they're clearly defined in different outfits. Oh, we're military figures. We don't have any special powers. But you've come to know Palpatine and, like Darth Maul, they're like, they pull that cloak over, so like, whoa, new dude in a cloak. What's this guy up to? You got a lightsaber, got some neat magic to show us. And it's like, no, nothing. Like, so that's just stupid. The ending scene where they show it connect over to, A New Hope, where Vader is like boarding, the ship that Carrie Fisher and all them, or Princess Leia are like escaping on, is crazy. He goes down a hallway and he is just like destroying people. I've never seen Vader like that, as untapped as that before, where he's force choking people and throwing them against walls and just murdering people. These rebel soldiers are screaming for help, and they're getting thrown everywhere, and it's scary and ridiculous and funny all at the same time. And they're all just like, oh my god, get the plans, take them through the door, and they're all dying and stuff, and it's great. It was so great. So if you guys haven't seen Rogue One, I absolutely recommend go to theaters, have a fun afternoon, definitely go watch it. It's worth every penny. One of the best Star Wars films I've ever seen to date. I mean, it's on par easily, with like Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and New Hope. It's kind of right in the middle. It's like not quite as good as Empire Strikes Back, but definitely better than A New Hope, and not as good as Return of the Jedi, but good. I mean, it's like, maybe third best out of the series. Excellent movie. All right, and now finally, guys, we've got to go on to some sadder news. As you guys may have heard, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, passed away a few days ago. I believe it was on the December 27th she passed away. She was 60 years old. 4 days prior, I believe on December 23rd, she was on a flight, I believe, to London. It's either London or New York. Sorry, don't remember exactly. And she had chest pains. She had a heart attack on the plane. They had to have an emergency landing where they brought the plane down to the nearest hospital. I believe that was in San Antonio, Texas. I want to say Texas. Sorry, I don't remember all of the details. And, she survived the heart attack. She was in the hospital. They gave her medical treatment. And, then she was in bed rest, for 4 days. And, 4 days later, she died of complications from the heart attack at 60 years old. So, that's extremely sad. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. She did a lot of other movies and a lot of other cinema asides from, Star Wars. But of course, everybody's going to remember her from her role as Princess Leia, and, Hollywood and the Star Wars universe is definitely saddened with the loss of its princess. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this month's podcast, and I'll be sure to catch up with you guys next year in January for another edition of the 8-Byte Podcast. See you later.
Hey guys, if you liked the video that you just watched, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And if you do the Facebook, Twitter thing, follow me at #KingOfRetro. See you next time.